It's time now for the Muletrain News Program on this Thursday, September the 8th, 2022. Brought to you today by Leal's Mexican Restaurants. A massive resurrection for Vernie Shaker, 76 of Lasbuddy, was held last weekend, Saturday morning, September the 3rd, at St. Anne's Catholic Church in Bovina, with Father Gregory Bunyan of Friona officiating. Burial followed in the Friona Cemetery. Vernie died Wednesday, August the 31st in Amarillo. She was born February 26, 1946 in Knox City, Texas, to Christopher and Rose Decker Birkenfield. She married Gene Shaker in Nazareth on November the 7th, 1964. Vernie had a wonderful gift of making others feel cared for and welcomed, and she readily shared her faith through both words and actions. She never missed an important celebration or sporting event that involved her grandkids or great-grandkids, no matter how far she had to travel to get there. Her love of golf and cards brought such enjoyment and fellowship with those around her, and her talent in the kitchen was enjoyed by anyone blessed to share a meal with her. Vernie was a true and faithful matriarch and relished time spent with her family. Her presence will truly be missed around each and every family table and celebration. She is preceded in death by her husband, Gene, a son, David Shaker, her parents, and 4 brothers. Vernie is survived by her son, Daniel Shaker, and his wife, Mary Jo of Lasbuddy, her 2 daughters, Becky Sava and her husband, Greg of Bowie, Marilyn and Kathy Shaker Wallace of Amarillo, her sister, Stephanie Dobmeyer of Nazareth, her 2 brothers, Joe Lynn Birkenfield of Nazareth and Leslie Birkenfield of San Antonio, 15 grandchildren, Brittany Smith and her husband, Zach, Jacob Shaker, Kenzie Jo Cox and her husband, Dylan, Justin Shaker and his wife, Mason, John Henry Shaker, Sarah Sava, Anna Sava, Dallas Sava, Zachary Sava, Samantha Sava, Carly Sava, Jacqueline Sava, Wyatt Sava, Elizabeth Wallace and Aaron Wallace, her 6 great-grandchildren, Madeline Smith, Barrett Smith, Bowen Smith, Setson Cox, Cooper Cox, and Baylor Cox all survive her. The family suggests memorials be sent to Created with the Purpose of West Texas, 907 Highway 86, Bovina, Texas, 79009. Online condolences can be made at ellisfuneralhomes.com. Please keep the family of Vernie Shaker, 76 of Lasbuddy, on your prayer list today. Her funeral services were held last weekend on Saturday, September the 3rd at St. Anne's Catholic Church in Bovina. Burial followed in the Friona Cemetery. Well, I was thoroughly impressed last Friday night in Lamesa as the Muleshoe Mules varsity football team really bounced back after their loss to open the season at Littlefield. You know, that Littlefield game, they turned the ball over 8 times, and in the first 2 offensive drives that the Mules had Friday night at Lamesa, they also turned the ball over. Each time had a fumble once and an interception. And you just thought, boy, this is not looking good. But, boy, after those first 2 offensive plays, they really, really stepped up and especially played amazing defense against the Lamesa Golden Tornadoes and came out with the big win as they beat Lamesa 41-14 last Friday night at the Tornado Stadium. Make sure to go to muleshoetv.com on our front page, and you can see that game in its entirety there. And it was a great win by the Muleshoe Mules varsity football team. Looking at some of the stats from that big win over Lamesa, we only had 2 turnovers, and of course they happened right at the very first of the first quarter. Other than that, the Mules were perfect on not turning the ball over. Lamesa didn't turn the ball over much either, as they had 2 interceptions thrown the whole game. As far as passing, Curve in number 7 was 10 of 18 passes for 119 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. Rushing, Signs, number 21, had 20 attempts for 162 yards. Curvin, number 7, the quarterback, had 14 attempts for 76 yards and 2 touchdowns. Uriel Vasquez, number 24, had 3 rushes, rushed the ball 3 times for 26 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Cantu, number 22, rushed 2 times for 8 yards. Receiving, number 1, Irvin Torres, had 5 receptions for 78 yards total and 1 touchdown. Cisneros, number 3, had 3 receptions for 25 yards. And Martinez, number 81, had 2 receptions for 16 yards. As I mentioned, the defense was phenomenal last Friday night. And the standout was Jaxer Lopez, number 44. He had 2 tackles, 6 assists, 4 sacks, and 3 tackles for loss. Pretty amazing night. He had Herrera, number 13, KB Herrera, had 5 tackles, 1 assist, and 1 sack. Number 0, McMullen, had 4 tackles, 4 assists, and 1 tackle for loss. Tate Shipman, number 33, had 3 tackles. Davian, had number 54, had 2 tackles, 1 assist, 1 sack, and 2 tackles for loss. Dyke had number 8, had 1 tackle and 3 assists. Vasquez, number 66, 1 tackle and 1 assist. Morales, number 67, 1 tackle and 1 assist. Big Reyes, number 78, had 1 tackle, 3 assists, 1 sack, and 1 tackle for loss. And the Mules in total on defense had a great outing and a great win last Friday night. That leaves them on the season at 1-1. And now we are in the middle of homecoming week, and we'll face our homecoming opponent this year will be, of course, the Friona Chieftains, which will happen this Friday night, September the 9th, kickoff at 7 p.m. at David Woodfield at Benny Douglas Football Stadium. As we mentioned earlier, the Mules lost to Littlefield 28-7 in the first game of the season, but we beat Lamesa 41-14 last weekend. Last year, in 2021, the Mules and the Chieftains met on September the 10th. Muleshoe 13, Friona 55. So we have some making up to do. This last year, Friona really beat us 55-13. I don't think I've ever seen a team do this, but Friona started out their 2022 season with a bye week, so they didn't have an opponent the first week of the season. And last week, they lost to Panhandle in a really close game, 21-20. So they're 0-1 on the 2022 season so far. Again, they started out with an open date on the first game of the season and lost last week to Panhandle 21-20. Looking at other District 2 3A, and by the way, Friona is in District 3 3A Division 2. Looking at our other District 2 3A Division 1 opponents and what they did in the second week of the season, Bushland now stands at 2-0 as they impressively beat Canadian last week 47-21. Mules, of course, are 1-1 and beat Lamesa 41-14 last week. River Road is 1-1. They lost to Borger last week 26-14. Then Shallowater is 2-0 on the season. They beat Seminole last week 40-27, and of course, very sadly, Dalhart did not play as they canceled their game last week. They're 1-0 on the season. They were going to match up with Sundown, but in the JV game the Thursday night before, one of the Dalhart players died during that game, and it was such a tragedy. Please keep Dalhart and that family on your prayer list today. Again, Dalhart is only 1-0 on the season as they had to cancel their game versus Sundown last Friday night after the tragedy in the JV game the Thursday night before. As I mentioned, it is homecoming week, and you'll want to make sure and eat the homecoming pregame meal before the Mules and Friona Chieftains game. It is Friday, September the 9th, of course. Pregame nacho pile-on meal. They'll have meat, beans, rice, and all the fixings, tea, water, sofapilla, cheesecake. It's $10. and will be served in the MHS Commons from 4:30 until 6. You can dine in or carry out your tray of nacho pile-on. Contact MHS if you want tickets beforehand, 806-272-7303. Tickets sold ahead of time, but also will be available at the door. That's for the MHS homecoming pregame meal, nacho pile-on, meat, beans, rice, and all the fixings, tea, water, sofapilla cheesecake, $10. Be served from 4:30 until 6 in the Muleshoe High School Commons area. Tickets will be available at the door. We're so sorry we didn't get a live stream for the Lamesa game last week. They were supposed to install the fiber optic high-speed internet into the press box sometime last week, but it just didn't get done. And so we had a delayed broadcast. But this week, Friday night at 7 p.m., we will be live streaming from Benny Douglas Football Stadium. The voice of the Mules is Elliot Davis for the big homecoming game versus the Friona Chieftains, brought to you by Barrett Produce, Leal's Tortilla Factory, Burton Service Center, Muleshoe Animal Clinic and Vet Supply, Shipman's Body Shop and Autoplex, Bailey County Electric Cooperative Association, Muleshoe Housing Authority, Muleshoe Independent School District, Mohawk Auto Parks, WTG Fuels, Muleshoe Area Medical Center, Edward Jones and Stephen DeMint, High Tech Automotive, Farmers Insurance and Julie DeBruin, Irrigation Pumps and Power Incorporated, and Bailey County Farm Bureau, Scott Miller. Look for the live stream to begin. We'll start at somewhere around 6:40 p.m. Friday night. As around 6:45 p.m., the Mini Mule cheerleaders will come out and do their routine. And while we're showing you those routines, we'll have our pre-game with Elliot Davis. Then, of course, the Mules will kick off versus Friona at 7 p.m. from Benny Douglas Football Stadium. And then during the halftime show, they will crown the 2022 MHS Homecoming Queen there at Benny Douglas Stadium. And make sure to go to our website right now, muleshoetv.com, as you can see our Meet Your Neighbor program brought to you by United Supermarkets, which introduces to you all four of the MHS Homecoming Queen candidates. They are Annalie Hernandez, Kylie Hernandez, Italy Tarango, and Jimena Ramirez. Those are the MHS Homecoming Queen candidates for 2022, and the coronation will be at halftime Friday night at Benny Douglas Football Stadium during the homecoming game. There will be a homecoming bonfire, which will be tonight at 7:45 p.m. at the driving range of the Muleshoe Country Club. And then also going on today, the very first Watson Junior High football games, and they will be right here in Muleshoe at Benny Douglas Football Stadium. The 7th grade at 5 p.m., then the 8th grade at 6:15 p.m. The JV will be in action at Friona, and that game will kick off at 5 p.m. Then tomorrow on Friday, September the 9th, they will have a homecoming pep rally at 2:30 p.m. in the Muleshoe High School gymnasium. Then later on, 6:45 p.m. at the football stadium, the Mini Mule cheerleaders. And then the coronation of the homecoming queen candidates will be at halftime of the football game. But go to our front page of our website, see our Meet Your Neighbor program. Meet the four candidates for the 2022 Homecoming Queen: Jimena Ramirez, Italy Tarango, Annalie Hernandez, and Kylie Hernandez. We'll be back with more Muletrain news in just a few moments, so please stay tuned. This edition of the Muletrain is brought to you today by Leal's Mexican Restaurant.
Hey Muleshoe, I'm Julia Reynolds, and whenever I come to town to visit family, I always choose Leal's Mexican Restaurant, preferably more than one. My favorite is the Laura's Special with extra queso. It gets no better than that. The original Leal's Mexican Restaurant is located at 1010 West American Boulevard, where you can dine in with the Liao's family's authentic dishes or carry out by simply calling ahead at 806-272-3294.
Brand new on the menu at the Original Liao's right here in Muleshoe is the Sun Salad, Chris romaine mixed with fresh corn, red onion, red bell peppers, feta cheese, and grilled chicken, along with a wonderful sun dressing. The new Sun Salad available on the menu now at the Original Liao's right here in Muleshoe. Well, the Bailey County senior citizens invite you to their pancake breakfast at the Oneida Wagner Senior Citizen Center, Main and Avenue D, this coming Saturday, September the 10th. Morning 7 a.m. until 11 a.m. It's the Proud to be a Mule pancake breakfast. Everyone is welcome. They'll be serving pancakes, waffles, sausage, bacon, coffee, orange juice, and milk. It's $5 per person, $3 for those 10 and under. Bring the whole family. Donations are greatly appreciated, and it's at the Senior Center, 319 South Main Street, or on the big corner of Main and Avenue D. The Proud to be a Mule pancake breakfast, Saturday, September the 10th, 7 a.m. until 11 a.m. Everyone is welcome for pancakes, waffles, sausage, bacon, coffee, orange juice, and milk. It's $5 per person, $3 for those 10 and under. Bring the whole family. Donations are greatly appreciated. Everyone is welcome this coming Saturday morning, September the 10th, 7 a.m. till 11 a.m. at Main and Avenue D. Well, it is time now for the weather forecast, brought to you today by K&K Pharmacy, your local hometown home-owned pharmacy at 1411 West American Boulevard. You can call them at 806-272-7511 right here in Muleshoe. They invite you to come in the store and shop. Also, you can call and they can deliver straight to your door, or you can use their convenient drive-through on the west side of the building. K&K Pharmacy now has flu shots available. Walk-ins are welcome. Getting the flu vaccine is a quick and easy process that can significantly reduce your chance of getting the flu. Don't forget to get your annual flu vaccine next time you visit K&K Pharmacy. Again, walk-ins are welcome at 1411 West American Boulevard right here in Muleshoe. K&K Pharmacy. You can also call them at 806-272-7511. They invite you to come in and shop, or you can call them and they can deliver straight to your front door here in the Muleshoe area, or use their very convenient drive-through at 1411 West American Boulevard on the west side of the building. Christine Isaacson, the pharmacist, or any of her very helpful employees at K&K Pharmacy. Well, we've been just bone dry this past week. It's been a really nice fall-like days, as it hasn't been extremely hot. Nice, cool evenings and overnights and mornings, but it has been getting into the lower 90s and upper 80s later in the afternoons, and looks like we'll continue that. No rain chances in the forecast. It's set for one day, so let's say our prayers and keep our fingers crossed, as we'll have one chance of rain so far in our 7-day forecast as it looks this Thursday morning. Of course, that can change at any point, but sunny today, high near 88 degrees, south-southeast winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Then mostly clear tonight, low around 60, south-southeast winds 10 to 15 miles per hour. Sunny on Friday. Tomorrow, for Football Friday, high near 90 degrees, south-southwest winds between 5 and 15 miles per hour. Then partly cloudy Friday night, low around 62, southeast winds between 10 and 15 miles per hour. Then mostly sunny on Saturday, high near 83 degrees, so it's going to be very, very nice on Saturday. A high of only 83 degrees, southeast winds 10 to 15 miles per hour. Then Saturday night, a 40% chance of showers and thunderstorms possible. Mostly cloudy with a low around 59. Southeast winds 10 to 15 miles per hour, becoming east-northeast after midnight. Then Sunday, a 30% chance of showers and thunderstorms, mostly cloudy. High around 73 degrees, so really fall-like temperatures for Sunday, with a high only at 73. Northeast winds 10 to 15 miles per hour, becoming east-northeast after midnight, or as the northeast winds around 15 miles per hour as Sunday afternoon goes on. Mostly cloudy Sunday evening, low around 56. East-northeast winds 5 to 10 miles per hour, becoming south-southeast after midnight. So that's our rain pocket. Saturday night and Sunday, a 40% chance of showers and thunderstorms Saturday night, and Sunday, a 30% chance of showers and thunderstorms. Then Sunday night, no rain chances, low around 56. Partly sunny Monday, starting next week, high near 82 degrees, so we'll pop up and get back somewhat warmer for Monday. South-southwest winds 5 to 15 miles per hour, partly cloudy Monday night, low around 59. Then sunny on Tuesday, high near 87. Mostly clear Tuesday night, low around 62. Sunny on Wednesday, high near 89. So beautiful, beautiful weather ahead for the next 7 days. And a 40% chance of rain Saturday night, and a 30% chance of showers and thunderstorms Sunday during the day. So let's say our prayers and keep our fingers crossed. As I've mentioned before, we haven't had any rain since then, and so it still holds the same. We're right around 10 inches behind our average for a year, our yearly average here at the Muleshoe Mesonet station for the 20-year average. So 10 inches behind, and we only have the rest of September and October to make it up. Really, we always start to go bone dry as we get into really the fall and winter months, as some of those months don't even average a tenth of an inch of rain. So we've got to make it up now while we have these rain chances in our forecast, as again we're around 10 inches behind our yearly average at the Muleshoe Mesonet station. K&K Pharmacy has presented to you this edition of the weather forecast. Well, there will be a public hearing this evening at 5:30 p.m. on Thursday, September the 8th at the City Hall Council Chambers. A public hearing set on the 2022-2023 budget. Then they will set date to adopt the 2022-23 budget and set 2023 tax rate, and then adjourn. Again, a public hearing that will begin at 5:30 p.m. this Thursday, September the 8th at City Hall in the Council Chambers. A public hearing on the 2022-23 budget, set a date to adopt 2022-2023 budget, and then set the 2023 tax rate before adjourning. The City Council will today. A first for Muleshoe is the Sports Cartel Bar and Grill is now open at 2015 West American Boulevard, ready to serve you great food, drinks, and sports action from all over the world on their 25 high-definition flat-screen TVs. Come in today and hang out in their fun atmosphere and order your favorite drink and something to eat off their big menu, which includes build-your-own burgers, wings, steak fingers, mini chicken tacos, tons of appetizers, and much, much more. They're open every day at SC Bar and Grill, Sunday through Thursdays, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., Fridays, 11 a.m. till midnight, and Saturdays, 11 a.m. until 1 a.m., although the grill does close every day at 9 p.m. The brand new SC Bar and Grill open now, right here in Muleshoe at 2015 West American Boulevard. You got to come in, see it today. Get vaccinated, Muleshoe. The Muleshoe Medical Center says for you, your family, for your community, and for your country. And you can get vaccinated at any of the clinics at the Muleshoe Medical Center. Just call to get your appointment today, 806-272-4524. Also, they remind you they have the wonderful swing bed program available at the Muleshoe Medical Center. Continue your recovery close to home if you or a loved one needs more time to heal after an illness, injury, or surgery. The swing bed program can help. Call the coordinator at 806-272-4524 or go to their website, muleshoehospital.com/recovery for more information. Well, we might want to mention that in addition to our live stream of the homecoming game Friday night, check out our website sometime on Saturday, muleshoetv.com. We'll have the homecoming pep rally that we will film Friday afternoon, released as a video as well, brought to you by our same football sponsors. That homecoming pep rally occurs at 2:30 at the MHS Gymnasium Friday, September the 9th. Also going on Saturday, September the 10th, MHS Robotics will have their kickoff event at Lubbock High School at 7:30, and then cross country will be in action also in Lubbock at Lubbock Christian University. The MHS cross country teams will begin running at 8 a.m. Then the Watson Junior High cross country teams will begin at LCU at 10 a.m. So good luck to MHS Robotics and MHS and Watson Junior High cross country teams, as they're all in action this weekend on Saturday, September the 10th in Lubbock. Always remember, if you're looking for some of your fellow man to help, something to do, to be positive, the Meals on Wheels program can always be an outlet for you. Just 1 hour, one day, once a month, or many times a month, whatever you can possibly do to help donate your time. Meals on Wheels can use you. Volunteers are needed for Meals on Wheels right here in Muleshoe. Of course, if you would like to assist financially, they always need that, as our Meals on Wheels program is totally funded from local donations. Contact the Bailey County Office of the Aging Director, Judy Kaufman. You can see her go in the south door of the Bailey County Courthouse, and she's your first office on the left, or you can call her at 806-272-3647 to volunteer for our Muleshoe Meals on Wheels program. Always a great way to give back to your fellow man. Well, on our prayer list today, keep Connie Alanis, Joby Claiborne, Terry Kemp, Ronnie Spence, Carolyn Turner, Paul Hammer, Colleen Saylor. Remember Vincent and Linda Erdman, who've recently moved from Muleshoe to Lubbock. Cyrus Adele's moved from Muleshoe. Keep on your prayer list today Pee Wee Estrada and Cleta Robertson, Doris Scott and Ruby Green. Keep Mom Magan Reynolds on your prayer list today, always. She's battling with dementia. Keep Travis Basier and his beautiful wife Sue. Keep them on your prayer list today. And Pat King and Royce and Carolyn Turner, Terry Byers, Gabby Stone, Tina Costilla. Julie Cage needs to be on your prayer list today. Olivia Barrera, John Blackwell, Tyrone Clements, Betty Ennis, Cliff Black, Dorothy Wire. Remember, please, the family of Nelda Crawford on your prayer list today. The family of Vernie Shaker on your prayer list. The family of Del Gallman. The family of Wayne Bristow. And the family of Juan Antonio Flores. Well, it's just about time for us to go on this edition of the Muletrain News, brought to you today by Leal's Mexican Restaurant. You can hear our latest Muletrain News program or any of our older archived ones free of charge on demand. Go to muleshoetv.com, click on the Muletrain News link at the top center of the page.
I'm Tumbleweed Smith. It all started with a $10 bet. Details in a moment on the Sound of Texas.
The Sound of Texas is brought to you here on MuleshoeTV.com by Bailey County Electric Cooperative Association, with offices in Muleshoe at 610 East American Boulevard, as well as in Morton at 1744 State Highway 114. They're celebrating rural electrification right here in the Muleshoe area through Bailey County Electric since 1939. They are owned by the members that they serve. Call 806-272-4504. Check them out online at BCEC. COOP.com. The board of directors, the members, the employees, the manager, CEO David Markle, all hope you enjoy this Sound of Texas with Tumbleweed Smith.
Some years ago, Texas Tech played Ole Miss in the Independence Bowl. Clint Formby of Hereford, an ardent Tech fan, had a friend who was an Ole Miss fan. They both were going to a meeting in Florida a few months after football season. His friend said they should have a $10 bet on the game. But Clint said, since we're going to be together for a meeting, why don't we make it a meal? We could take our wives, and the winner selects the menu, the restaurant, and the mode of transportation to get there. The loser pays the bill without complaining. His friend agreed. Ole Miss won. Clint lost the bet. Here's what happened. A limousine picked up Clint and his wife. The chauffeur told them the rest of the party was waiting up the road a piece. It was a double stretch limousine, and every 15 minutes the overhead lights would change from purple to pink to blue. They were in the limo for more than an hour, long enough to have some Dom Perignon champagne, which was there for the taking. The limo took them to an upscale place in Fort Lauderdale. Their reserved table in the restaurant was filled with beautiful fresh-cut flowers. Customers were anxiously waiting to see who would come and claim the attractive table. The Formbys met their friends in the lobby of the restaurant and made a noticeable entrance to the dining area. The waiter brought out 4 shrimp cocktails, the first course of a 5-course meal, very expensive. The wine was Chateau Lafite Rothschild. Clint figured he could have filled a pickup full of Shiner beer for what that one bottle of wine cost. Clint was not a wine drinker, but that bottle got his attention. A few drops were left in the bottle when they finished, and Clint brought that bottle home with him. He says those few drops were worth at least $40. When Clint got his credit card bill, he expected a note saying, "Did you buy a building?" The friend sent Clint an autographed photo of the Ole Miss football team. Clint said he should have left the bet at $10. I'm Tumbleweed Smith with the Sound of Texas.
Well, I thought it would be really interesting to delve into our archives today as I was putting together the Muletrain news this morning, and I found a Muletrain news program from 1992, so 30 years ago. So we're going to tack that on to the end of our Muletrain from this morning. And this is September the 9th, 1992, a Muletrain news program. Of course, Mom, Megan Reynolds, is hosting it, and she interviews Jan Thomas. He's a reporter who's in our home doing a story with WOAI out of San Antonio, and I think they're here doing a story on Channel 6 for WOAI there in San Antonio for the television network, the affiliate, and we're going to tack that in. I think this will be really interesting, so enjoy a time machine that will take us back 30 years to right here in Muleshoe, September the 9th, 1992, Muletrain news program, and an interview that Mom does in that Muletrain with Jan Thomas, a reporter with WOAI San Antonio.
Get a deep seat in a tight rein because here it comes, the world-famous Muletrain. Howdy out there, neighbors. It is time for Gil Lamb's Muletrain News, coming to you direct from the world's largest town named Muleshoe. It's in Texas, of course, and Muleshoe is where you'll find some really nice, friendly people and just a few old soreheads. Some of the most fertile soil in the state of Texas, and Muleshoe is one of the very few agricultural towns in the nation that can say it's a town on the go and on the grow. Muleshoe is where you can get 10 hours sleep in just 6 hours, and where we grow some of the very finest of white and yellow corn, fat cattle, fertile bulls, large, rich golden heads of grain sorghum, navy white beans, sunflower seeds, cotton, rye, soybeans, castor beans, alfalfa, and some of the best vegetables in the country are grown right here in our hometown. And we have more churches than service stations, and some of the most attractive churches on the West Plains of Texas right here in Muleshoe. Muleshoe is the home of George Washington, believe it or not. And the late Will Rogers filed some of his early day stories right here in Muleshoe. Bob Wills and Bub Schaefer pulled cotton south of town, and Muleshoe is a fine trade territory. The merchants of Muleshoe are most accommodating. It's a good town to live in. It's a good town to build a home in and rear your children. We have excellent school administrators, fine school buildings, dedicated, loyal, non-striking, non-demonstrating, non-pot-smoking teachers in our Muleshoe Independent School District. At the intersection of U.S. Highway 70 and 84, you'll find something you won't find anywhere else in the world. It is the National Mule Memorial, erected over 25 years ago, to the good old faithful mule who has done so much for our country, both in war and peace. And of course, he's pointed west, because westward is where he pulled the plow and the wagon and moved America. And Cecil Davis was the man who saw that the historical marker was erected right there at the Mule Memorial site. And Cecil Davis still lives right here in Muleshoe today. We have an excellent Rotary Club, Lions Club, and Kiwanis Club. We also have a fantastic Heritage Foundation that is preserving the historical buildings of our community. And you'll want to go out and visit our Santa Fe Depot and see the work that is being done on the old James Ranch House and the Muleshoe Ranch Cookhouse. We have a group of young people in Muleshoe, juniors and seniors, that have been selected by the Muleshoe Chamber of Commerce as Leadership Muleshoe. We have an excellent Jenny Slippers, the ladies' arm of our Muleshoe Chamber of Commerce and Agriculture, and the business arm, the Muleshoe Activities Committee, known as MAC. We have many organizations for our young people and children, such as Cub, Boy, and Girl Scouts, 4-H, FFA, and FFA, the Student Community Action Club, and here in Muleshoe you'll find MASH, Muleshoe Association to Serve the Hungry. They are helping the Muleshoe Meals on Wheels Incorporated feed 60 senior citizens of Muleshoe a good, hot, nutritious meal 5 days a week at noon. And the way you can contribute to MASH is at the bottom of your ticket. When you eat in one of our local restaurants, just mark that you would like to give a contribution to MASH, and they will take care of it in our local restaurant. We have the finest Muleshoe Volunteer Fire Department that you'll find anywhere in the entire world. We have volunteers who know what volunteerism is all about. At the Bailey County Ambulance Service, at our Muleshoe Area Medical Center, and our Muleshoe Area Healthcare Center, we have some of the most dedicated people who live right here in Muleshoe, who believe in this community. They like to live here, and they make Muleshoe a better town in which to live. The Muleshoe Athletic Boosters, the Fine Arts Boosters, help with the athletic program and the art, band, and speech departments of our Muleshoe schools. The Muleshoe Elementary PTA, assisting at Dillman and Mary D. Shaso Elementary Schools, and we have volunteers who give of their time in each one of our 4 campuses to help their children and other people's sons and daughters get a good education. We have 2 radio stations, 2 newspapers, and a television station to boot. We have been on ABC, CBS, NBC, CNN, in the Houston Chronicle, the Dallas Morning News, Texas Country Reporter, the Eyes of Texas, and all across our world, spreading the good news about Muleshoe is just 18 miles from Earth. And if you would like to live just 18 miles from Earth, then you can move into Muleshoe and we will welcome you. 62 years ago today, Mr. and Mrs. Blondie Ray were married. Blondie and Irma Ray, thank you for sharing almost all of those 62 years with us here in Muleshoe. They are Muleshoeites deluxe. Did you know that Irma Ray was born to Dr. and Mrs. E.W. Duke, and Seep Springs was where she was reared, and her father was a medical doctor there in Comanche County, and she grew up with a brother, Joe, and a sister, Morna. Now, Morna became Morna Wagnon, the wife of Happy Wagnon, and they came to Muleshoe. And, of course, we all know June and Joe Mack Wagnon, who are their children. And then Irma's father died when she was a little girl, about 6 or 7, and she moved with her mother out to Lasbuddy, and that's where she went to school. And from Lasbuddy, they came into Muleshoe. But one time she went down to Houston, to the big city, to visit an aunt and uncle. And they had 3 restaurants, and she was such a nice-looking young lady, as she is a beautiful lady today. And they put her in charge of one of the restaurants. Well, nearby, there was a dairy. Imagine a dairy in Houston, right there in the middle of town. It was. That's what Blondie tells us, but you know how Blondie exaggerates. And he worked at the dairy, and he would come down and eat at this restaurant, and he eyed this girl, and she was good looking. Well, she convinced him, he says, to take her out, and then he convinced her that they should get married, and that's what they did. 62 years ago, this very day, on September the 9th, 1930, and they came to Muleshoe to live in 1939 and have made Muleshoe home since. On Main Street, there was Dameron Drug, and of course it's still down there today, and there was Western Drug, and it's still right there on Main Street today too. And then H.C. Hennington had a grocery store, and Blondie bought that from him and operated that, and a dry goods store was next door. And then in 1943, he went into the U.S. Army. And of course, those were bad days in 43. And Irma called and said, "Blondie, are you sitting down?" And he said, "Yes, I am sitting down." And Irma said, "Well, you need to be for this. We're going to have a baby." Well, they'd already been married since 1930, 13 years. And they'd given up on having children. And Blondie said, "Sell the grocery store. We're going to have a perfect child." Doesn't that sound like a parent? And so she sold the grocery store, and they had that perfect child, Dixon, on Christmas of 1943. He came home from the service, and they reared Dixon right here in Muleshoe, and he graduated from Muleshoe High School in 1962. And Dixon now lives in Caldwell with his lovely wife, and they'll be coming to Muleshoe next month for Dixon's 30th class reunion. Besides their handsome son, Dixon, they have 2 grandchildren also, and 2 great-grandchildren that they're very, very proud of. Well, after the grocery store that they operated at the crossroads after the war, Blondie also operated a service station, and it was down there where today there's a little curio type shop operated by Joe Rhodes. And then they decided to go into the drive-in restaurant business, and that was the day that all the kids would drag Maine and go out to the restaurant and drag around Ray's Rocket. And Blondie was right there with his smiling face all the time from 1960 to 1970 when they saw Ray's Rocket, and today it's Viola's Mexican Food Restaurant. They're members of the First Baptist Church. And Irma was, so many years a member of the Friendship Club. And there's only 2 members left of the original group. And that's Robbie Dameron, who celebrated her 91st birthday last week, and Irma Ray, who today is celebrating her 62nd wedding anniversary. And she's just as beautiful as I bet she is. She's even probably more beautiful than the day that Blondie married her. And their house is gorgeous. It's not a house, it's a home. It's sort of like Ronald McDonald's house. It's a house that love built. Trite but true. And we must say to Blondie and Irma Ray one more time, congratulations on your day. They were married in his sister's home, Faye Minor, there in Houston. And they live in Muleshoe today, where they belong. And we're so delighted that they have chosen to make this their home of so many years. And with every happy story, it just seems like we have to have a sad one. And we hate to report that Mrs. J.K. Adams informed us this morning that J.G. Dude Harold, 86, of Anson, formerly of Bailey County, died Monday in the Anson General Hospital after a lengthy illness. He lived here until the late 50s or 60s, and he moved to Anson. In Bailey County, he was a farmer and a hog breeder, J.K. remembers, and his sons, Mac and Jack, were both very active in the Bailey County 4-H program. The funeral services for Dude Harold will be held tomorrow afternoon at 2 in the First Baptist Church of Anson, with the Reverend Lee Welch, pastor of the Mount Hope Baptist Church, officiating, and burial will be in the Mount Hope Cemetery under the direction of Lawrence Funeral Home of Anson. He is survived by his wife, 2 sons, Mac, who lives in Farwell, and Jack of Anson, 2 grandchildren, a sister and a stepdaughter. He was born in Anton and reared in Anson and graduated from Anson High School and married Estella Burnett, May the 30th, 1925 in Anson. And after his first wife died, he married Irene Manley, July the 19th, 1986 in Anson. He was a Jones County Commissioner, a member of the Jones County 4-H, and in 1982 he was named as a friend of 4-H. Please remember in your prayers today the family of J.G. Dude Harold of Anson, and the funeral tomorrow, First Baptist Church in Anson. We're going to be back with more Muletrain news and announcements in just a few moments, so please stay tuned because we have a video film we made yesterday evening at Watson Junior High of every boy that will play tomorrow night in the 7th and 8th grade football games. So you'll want to see that.
You
can hear tonight at the First Baptist Church of Muleshoe this beautiful harp of Greg Buchanan. The concert will start at 7, and you are invited free of charge to hear jazz, pop, classical, and gospel music from a world-famous harpist, Greg Buchanan, who started playing the harp at the age of 9 and for 4 years was a member of the United States Navy Band in Washington, D.C. He also has received the Gospel Music Association's Dove Award in 1988 for his album Peaceful Meditations. He has played at most major Christian gatherings of our day, including 2 Billy Graham crusades. And he will be in Muleshoe tonight at 7 at the First Baptist Church to perform. It is open to the public and free of charge, according to Barry Monaghan's. Shana Hardwick has been elected president of the Muleshoe High School DECA Club. DECA developing future leaders for marketing. These young men and women, juniors and seniors at Muleshoe High School, go to school part of the day and work the other part. And they work a lot of hours after school and in the evenings and on the weekends too. And they will be our future business leaders of our community and country. The vice president serving with Shana will be Gonzalo Lozano, Secretary Vanessa Greenhouse, Parliamentarian Frank Guzman, Treasurer David Ramirez, Historian Rebecca Cortez, Reporter Shane Glover, Chaplain Shannon Robertson, and the Muleshoe High School Student Council representative is Virginia Lira. Some of DECA's events that they will be sponsoring this year will be sending some of their members to Leadership Development Conference in Amarillo in October, the district contest in February at Wichita Falls, and then state in Arlington and the national competition in Orlando, Florida, which will be held next May. Now, you can sit there and laugh and say, well, nobody will get clear to national from Muleshoe, but they did. 2 and 3 years ago, we sent a Muleshoe High School student all the way to nationals in competition. And that is what they are trying to do, is to be competitors, so they will be leaders of the free enterprise system of our country. Fundraising projects will be held during the year to pay for travel expenses for the students to the conventions and contests. Joy Stansel, the activity director at our nursing home, announces that the family support group will meet Monday night at 7 in the conference room, and they are going to show a film on advanced directives, and that is a living will, how to make one, how to make the decisions of do you want to be on life supports, and making these decisions in advance, and being sure that your family, your friends, your doctors, your hospital know your decision. Now, you don't have to have a family member who is a resident of our local nursing home to come to the family support group meeting. Any person who is facing these decisions with a parent or a loved one, or maybe for themselves, is invited to the family support group meetings Monday night at 7 in the conference room of the nursing home. Last night we had a telephone call from Mrs. Lloyd Beatty. You know, she and her husband reared their granddaughter, Marcia Wilson, and she was telling us that Marcia is now a sophomore at South Plains in Levelland, and she is a physical therapy major. Many have told Marcia that she could be a doctor very easily, but Marcia feels like that she's going to take one step at a time, and right now she is working on becoming a nurse, and the best nurse that she knows how to be. And all of us who know Marcia knows that she'll make a wonderful nurse. And then she hopes to go on into physical therapy. They had lunch at noon yesterday in Levelland with Marcia Wilson, and she's very happy in school there at South Plains College in Levelland. And this is the season of the year so many of our students go back to colleges and universities around the country, and we wish them the very best in their endeavors. Marcia Wilson graduated from Muleshoe High School in 1990, and she started her physical therapy career right here, working in the physical therapy department at our Muleshoe Area Medical Center. Listen, the reason Mrs. Beatty called us, she's got for sale black-eyed peas. Now, Jan, I tell you what, you go out there and pick those black-eyed peas. They're just $4 a bushel, and take them back to San Antonio with you. You know, we have a gentleman visiting here in our studio, and I may pay him. Lori, that sounds good. Hot water cornbread and black-eyed peas. Chow chow, not hot, mild chow chow from Fredericksburg or from Tahoka or Jefferson. Nothing is better. Have you ever had that, Jan? Jan, come over here. Bring that chair. Scoot over here or get on your knees or something. Yeah. or some way get over here and sit down beside me. You've sat by in front of a microphone before, I know. It's not real comfortable here, but you've been before behind a microphone that wasn't comfortable, I bet, before. Jan, what's your last name?
Thomas.
Jan Thomas, and you're from where?
WOAI Radio in San Antonio.
That's just a little bit bigger than KMUL here in Muleshoe.
A little. Yeah.
Little.
50,000 watts, clear channel. You can hear it at night here on the plains.
What year did they go on the air at WOAI?
Oh, about 1922, I'd say.
It's
one of the oldest stations in
yeah.
Texas. In fact, a fella who's been with us for a long while, retired recently, Henry Guerra, who was probably one of the first Mexican-Americans to do news on television here when we had television, and also one of the first on radio, retired recently. He's 72 years old.
Is that right?
One of our historians. I mean, if you want to know about the Alamo or anything that has to do with Texas, he knows it. I mean, Henry's a walking encyclopedia along with his wife. I mean,
did he live through the Alamo days?
Well, we like to kid him and another member of our staff that yes, that they were here when the Alamo was going on, and they remember what happened.
But you know, those kind of people are just invaluable, aren't they?
Yes, they are. Yeah,
They
you can't
really
live it. We
are.
still call him. He had to stop because his heart was bothering him, and he was, you know, he still leads a very active life, but the doctor just said you can't drive anymore.
Yeah.
You know, you can't drive. You can drive, but not as much because the stress gets him and everything like that. So
well, and you know, radio gets to you. It's a stressful business.
well, it's better than working for a living, I guess. I mean, that's what some people say.
But my dad, who by the way at 72 was losing his eyesight. And that's when we started this operation. And he, well, let's see down here. Who knows what we can find down here in this. This is our historian, Paul. See, this is the way he would read. Write. See, that this was, somebody's room number in some hospital, room 416. And that told him pointers, that's their ad. And that's their telephone number. And then he knew everything. They had tires and bicycles and lawnmowers and paint and credit.
I think we ought to tell the people of Muleshoe that they're going to be famous in about another 2 weeks or so again.
Oh, great.
They're probably wondering why I'm visiting you, and that's because we do a series on my radio station called the 5 Nations of Texas. We go to the five regions. You know, Texas could legitimately divide up into 5 states if it wanted to. So we send a reporter to each corner of the state. And we look for things that are unique or colorful or part of the culture.
Or kooky.
We decided that the Muletrain News was part of the culture of West Texas, and it will be one of 4 things. We're going to do a piece on Levelland College on their bluegrass program. I was over in Turkey last night to do a piece on the Hotel Turkey and on the Bob Wills.
Now, is that hotel open all the
Yes,
time?
it is.
Tell us about that.
The Hotel Turkey is one of the oldest hotels in Texas. It has been running since the town was first settled by the railroad.
And never been.
They never closed. Not even during the Depression. Never closed.
That's unusual.
Scott Johnson and his wife have totally restored the hotel. It's beautiful, and with furniture and other items from primarily the 20s when Bob Wills was performing. We had several people perform last night in their dining room, which has perfect acoustics.
Oh, really?
It's about a 20 by 40 dining room with a tin ceiling, a pressed ceiling, but it has very good acoustics. You can walk outside the hotel and you will hear the music coming out perfectly, just like you would in the movies. And even no matter where you sit in the dining room or in another part of the hotel, you will hear this music come with little or no amplification. Now, we had no amplification last night. It's all acoustic instruments and everything. And people there, Bob Wills may be gone, but as far as people there are concerned, he's alive. Of course, every fourth Saturday in April, they have the reunion where 16,000 people come to a town of 500 or so. So I did a story on them last night.
Did you get to stay in the hotel?
I did not. I could have. I did have dinner there. It's very good. Everything's homemade.
Is it?
Yeah, you're talking about
Did
black-eyed
you have black-eyed peas?
No, I didn't have black-eyed peas, but Scott Johnson's wife Jane makes homemade food. They asked me if I wanted dessert, but I said if I had it, I'd explode. It's very, very good. It's very, very good.
Now, did they have the music last night just for you?
They had it just for me because they normally don't perform on weeknights.
That particular night.
But on the weekends they do. They don't exist solely for Bob Wills. I mean, they are also a museum.
In the hotel?
Yes, they are. They're on the National Register of Historic Landmarks, and they are collecting items from West Texas, from the Panhandle, and you can walk through the hotel. Although it's bed and breakfast, you can stay there, but it's like you're staying in a museum. Also, you can
have dinner there.
Don't know about dinner.
Oh, well, she just did it for you.
Last night they did
Why
it.
didn't you ask me to go with you? Golly,
Well, if I would have known.
That would have been marvelous.
Yeah. Well, there were about a dozen other people there last night too to appreciate. In fact, several gentlemen who saw Bob Wills perform in his prime.
Really?
When he used to barber on the side. And used to talk with him.
Now, I know you didn't listen to our intro, and you will when you get back home, but Bob Wills spent his honeymoon out here, south of town. But it doesn't say that on the intro, but he pulled cotton right out here south of town with a man who still lives in Muleshoe, Bub Schaefer.
You advertise everything else, including Lee Horsley and the Muleplex, and I couldn't get over it when I drove into town here. I'm surprised you don't advertise that just like George Washington slept here, Bob Wills.
George Washington lives here.
Oh, he does?
Yes, he lives right over here, 2.5 blocks.
Well, what about Abraham Lincoln and Teddy Roosevelt? Are they here too?
No, but one time, I tell you, George Washington called the coach. He's our coach here in Muleshoe, George Washington.
Never tells a lie, right?
Never tells a lie. And he did out at Last Buddy. And so he had to move into Muleshoe, so now he never lies. And so he called the coach over in Martin. It's just about 30 miles south of here. And it was in the day that you got, the telephone operator, and said, "Operator, I need to place a person-to-person call to Martin High School." And she said, "Oh, fine." And she said, "We need to make it to my home phone, though. This is who?" And George Washington, yes, And I need to call John Paul Jones.
John Paul Jones. He hasn't begun to fight yet. Yeah.
And but anyway, let's get back to Turkey.
Turkey. I would tell your viewers to go over there and see it. They've done a wonderful job on the hotel. It is probably the biggest building in Turkey. It's big by any standards here on the plains. Scott Johnson used to sell insurance for a living. He got into the hotel as a sideline, and more, this took control of him, so he got out of it, and now this is his sole business.
Was he from Turkey originally, or do you know?
He's from this part of the state, but I don't know. He is a graduate of Texas Tech, has a master's, maybe going for a doctorate in a history-related area, although his background is in engineering and math.
Is that right?
Yeah, he was, like I say, he was selling insurance, and he's a Texas Tech graduate. And they've done just a wonderful job. They even have the old Victrola there with the Bob Wills records, and you can play them. The phones are like the phones at the beginning of the century. Yeah, the crank phones and
talk to Central on.
Yeah, I mean he's got a modern phone at his desk, but
yes,
but in one part of the hotel there's the wall phone that probably Bell saw when he was still alive, and then you've got the phone like you see in the 1930s with the little stand and the earpiece like that. It works. In the dining room, there's nothing but memorabilia from the era of Bob Wills, and it's a lot of it has been supplied by people who've been very gracious. I don't think Scott and his wife could possibly buy all that memorabilia. I mean, it's enough just to try and redo the hotel. But the one thing he says that he points out is that this hotel has stayed open all these years. It did not close in the Depression. It did not close in the Depression. And I believe Turkey is one of the more popular spots now for people to stop and visit here. He showed me a list of where people come from. Now, most of them are from Oklahoma and Texas, but he has them from the Midwest and even from the East Coast.
Oh, we did an interview with a man last April. That's where he was headed, and he spent the night in Muleshoe on his way to Turkey from California.
The other thing is, it's if you've never been there, it's a beautiful drive. You go through the Cap Rocks.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, how do you get there? Because I'm really not from Plainview.
You would. Well, going from Plainview, you take. I took 27 up to 145, State Road 145.
Out of what, like?
Going east.
Do you go to Tuya?
I go out of Cress.
Okay, you went to Cress, yes.
I went to Cress, and I go all the way across till you hit 86, and then 86 into Turkey.
How far was it approximately?
Out of Plainview, it was about an hour and 10 minutes, so I'm guessing 70 miles, 80 miles. I didn't calculate the exact mileage. You've got to, I don't want the DPS to hear this, but I was probably a bit of a lead foot last night because I was running behind. But you've got to be a little bit careful when you go on 86 because you're going through the Cap Rock area. We got some steep. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It really is.
Yeah, had you ever been in that area?
No. It reminds me a lot of the Badlands where I lived up in the Dakotas for a number of years.
Now, where were you reared?
Oh, Chicago. I grew up in Chicago.
In Chicago?
In the city, yeah.
In the city?
In the city. My
family
like
Muleshoe.
we're as metropolitan as Muleshoe, yeah. No, I've never worked most of my adult life in Chicago. I went to school, after I graduated high school, I went to school in downstate Illinois, and then just went where the next job was at. And I've lived
How long have you been in San Antonio?
2 years.
2 years.
2 years.
Do you like it?
Yes. Yeah,
right.
Very much.
And you came to San Antonio from where?
I was working briefly in Chicago for 14 months, and I was working for a satellite music network, which supplies radio stations with news and music.
I think that's what we'd love to have here. Wouldn't that be great if we could implement that into this?
Sure.
You understand what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying, yeah.
If we could afford that.
Yeah, no, I worked there for about 14 months, and they had some changes. And
we know about those changes.
Well,
that's how this all came about.
In show business, or in this business, you're going to have times when the job's going to run out and you go. Prior to working in Chicago, I worked in Philadelphia for 3 years for a state network there, similar to Texas network here. Worked in Montana and North Dakota for 8 years for radio stations there, for 2 stations owned by the same company. And I could go on and on. I mean, it'd be like a laundry list, but I've been doing this for 20 years now since I got out of school, and if you count the time I was in school, it's about 23. So I'm not a kid anymore. I wanted to mention where else we're going to be. Like I told you, we're here in Muleshoe. We did a piece at Turkey. I'm going down to Levelland to do a story on their bluegrass program there, which is the only college with a degree in bluegrass probably in the world.
Oh, I bet you're right.
Joe Carr and a few of the people run it down there. And then I'm going to go up to Amarillo tomorrow, which is where I flew in, because I'm renting a car and driving around the Panhandle that way. I'm going to talk with Stanley Marsh tomorrow about the Cadillac Ranch and about a few other projects of his. I was out at the Cadillac Ranch yesterday just to talk to a few tourists to see what they thought about it. A few people from Missouri. And so we put these 4 stories together, and we
will they be on the same program?
We run them one a day, Monday through Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
So in the week of the 21st, we will run these in our morning and afternoon drive period. So just like at the time when you're running your early Muletrain news, we'll be on the air with this story. And then if you run, I don't know if you run a late Muletrain news here or not.
Yes, we do. We call it a noon.
Okay. Well, we run one in about 4 or 5 in the afternoon. We run a solid block of 2.5 hours. I mean, you've got 1 million people in San Antonio.
Sure.
You've got enough to run. So we run it in the afternoon, but we also take these stories and we do submit the series for national awards. Now, last year, we won what's known as a Headliners Award, which is you compete against all the radio and TV stations from the top 10 cities, basically. You compete against the big boys. And we won in the radio category. And the featured piece at Atlantic City, New Jersey, was the piece I did in El Paso on what the LaFay Clinic does over there. They have a ritual they go through as part of their fundraising off of Franklin Mountain in El Paso. It's an Indian-styled ritual. Aztec, Yaqui, things like that.
And this is a clinic, a hospital?
It's a hospital. It serves the third poorest zip code in the country. These people are desperately poor. I mean, you and I'll say, well, I don't have enough money, or
but we you
don't know what poor is until you've seen poor.
Yes.
I mean, it's people, if they can feed themselves the next day, they're lucky.
They don't even have the box to live in.
No, not at all. So,
and you won that award.
So, jointly we did that. We submit all the series, but the featured piece was the one we did in West Texas. The reason I come to West Texas is basically because I like coming to West Texas, and everybody else on my staff thinks it's too far away. And
they don't know what they're missing, do they?
No, and it very much. West Texas very much reminds me of when I lived in North Dakota and in Montana for 4 years. There are many similarities geographically. It's just that you're 1,000 miles further south, and the weather's a little warmer. I mean, you have milder weather here than you would further north, especially at this time of year. But I can see a lot of similarities, and I quite enjoy it. I quite enjoy visiting the different cities here.
And so it'll be the week of the 21st.
The 21st, right. Right.
What's the best story you've ever done in your life?
Oh, boy.
Besides the Muletrain.
Gee, that's hard for me to say. I've done so many stories in just the 2 years here in San Antonio that I never thought. I got to meet the Queen of England last May in Austin when she was there.
That was pretty good, wasn't it?
You don't get to meet the Queen and Prince Philip every day. I interviewed the Vice President earlier this year when he came to San Antonio.
What did you think of him?
I think it's funny when he's in a speaking engagement, as we see him on TV. I don't think he's very good, but to interview the guy, it's just a whole nother ball game.
Do you think he's had the short end of the deal, that somebody pulled the rug out from under him a long time ago,
I think
maybe didn't give him credit where credit was due?
I think Dan Quayle is an intelligent man, and like I say, he's a good one-on-one interview like this. But he is not, as a speaker. He is not a.
Doesn't have that charisma.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't have, and he's not Ronald Reagan. Put it like this.
And he can't help that,
No, he can't. But unfortunately, when you're working in politics, you got to do this. Sometimes too, he says or does things. You might call it showing his human side, but the trouble is, we expect our leaders to be able to spell.
Right.
We expect our leaders to have a grasp of history, as George Bush found out a year ago or so when he referred to Pearl Harbor on the wrong day. We expect a lot of them, and Dan's got caught in that. He really is. Now, I've interviewed Clinton and Gore too this year. We've had a lot of people come through. They're both very impressive. I haven't interviewed the president. I mean, I covered him when he was there for the drug summit, but that's at a distance, and everything is highly secured, as you might anticipate. In fact, this was after his trip to Japan, and he looked very good. Looked very healthy for a man who had been ailing.
Now that's when he passed out, wasn't it?
That's when he passed out. But people forget too. This man's crossing umpteen time zones, which takes it out of you if you're healthy. Plus, he's physical fitness now 67 years old.
Yeah.
So he looked very good.
And we have to retire from radio when we're 60, and he.
I don't know about that, but. Clinton and Gore also come off very well. But you
could be president at 70, but you couldn't work at the radio station at 60. There's something wrong in there.
David Brinkley's over 70.
Oh, yeah. Don't you enjoy that?
Yeah.
I enjoy that. I remember there was a guy on TV in Lubbock, and Ford was his last name, or his first name. Ford might have been his first name.
Gerald?
No, it wasn't Gerald. But he got fired years and years ago because he was just too old.
Right.
He wasn't coming into what they wanted, him to look like and act like. But he knew so much about this other side that the person who's 20 and 30 and 40 didn't know. I think we need them all. I like to watch all. I think that's a good dimension. And, our citizens in Muleshoe are senior citizens. 60% are senior citizens.
That's true in a lot of towns, though. Turkey's like that.
Oh, sure, of course.
And where I lived in North Dakota, many of the people are, not saying that we have no young people up there, but many of the people up there are retirement age and live a very long life because basically you've got clean air and a very, so to speak, antiseptic lifestyle up there. I wanted to get back to one thing. I don't want to short the other side on this presidential race. They're going to complain saying that you're praising the Republicans, but you're not.
Right. We got to give equal time.
I've met both men. They are very impressive. I think this is going to be a very close election.
Do you?
Probably decided by less than 1 point. Now, I met Clinton when he was first running. He came to town to speak to our press club. And he's a very, very personable guy. I'm not going to defend or argue about his personal life here. I think that's something that's between him and God, frankly. But as a speaker and as a man with ideas, he's got some interesting ideas. And I talked with Albert Gore when he released his book. He came to town for that. At that time, he didn't think he was going to run. I said, do you think you'll run for vice president this year? Because Clinton's looking for a running mate. He said, no, we wouldn't have two Southerners run. Well, lo and behold, 6 weeks later, he was. And I still got the tape. I'd like to walk and say, look what you said, but I'm sure the thing that struck me most about Gore, his family life is very important to him. He did want to stay out of it. His little boy got hit by a car in Baltimore several years ago. When they were at a baseball game to see the Orioles. And he just decided, when he nearly lost his son, that for the next few years he would do nothing but spend time with his family. I mean, he'd still go and vote and carry on the business for the people of Tennessee. But he's very, very serious about his family.
Dedication
to his family.
First
things first. Some people say he's an alarmist about the environment. I'm sure you're going to read pro and con on that. But he does have some constructive ideas in that area. And I think, the one idea that is constructive is we could take environmental matters and actually make them a profitable thing for us. We could come up with technology or whatever to, put this country back in the driver's seat again in some areas. And if you look at even some of the stock offerings now, there are, I happen to invest in a company that is in a global fund that looks at the environmental cleanup worldwide. So I think that Albert Gore has some constructive ideas. I think the one thing you won't see happen this time is 4 years ago, George Bush could derail Dukakis with an issue like the furlough issue or whatever, which some people would say is not really a big issue. It's kind of a bogus issue.
Lori Turney's type.
No, don't turn over. You erase that. Don't do that.
Okay,
I'll get another one. We're recording this in case you don't know, so I can tell you. But
don't touch, Lori. Pardon me.
I'm not saying that crime is a bogus issue, but you take an isolated circumstance like that, or the flag, the Pledge of Allegiance. Now, I'm for saying the Pledge of Allegiance, but I don't know that we need a law to my parents will teach me that. My schools teach me that kind of thing. We said the Pledge of Allegiance every day before class. You won't derail these two guys on the Democratic side this time with some of these small issues. Just as in the personal vein, Clinton's personal life, he won't get derailed by that. Now, some voters may choose not to vote for him. They'll say if he hasn't had a good relationship with his wife and she can't trust him all the time, then neither can I. And that's your choice. But
there won't be a large majority that will vote against him for that.
I don't know about that. I'm just saying that the Republicans will not be able to use this all the time with him. I think also, once again, you talk the draft issue. They may not be able to use that on him. They will keep things focused on the economy and on larger issues. I mean, the economy, foreign policy, things that we consider material and everything like that. Now, I'm sure. Once again, in deference to people's feelings here, I'm sure in Muleshoe and in West Texas, the draft may be a big issue. I mean, you may not want to vote for this man because he was not.
I think the economy is the biggest issue.
Yeah. But I'm not trying to tell you how to vote. I'm just trying to say
what's going to happen in San Antonio.
Well, we don't. Now, I'm not sure what you mean.
Well, the vote, what's it going to be in San Antonio for Bush, or will it be?
It will be close.
It'll be close, just like nationwide, you think?
Yeah. I think the Valley will go for Clinton. I think the Mexican-American vote will go. Now, true, we are 60% Mexican-American in San Antonio, but there are a number of conservative Mexican-Americans there, too. So a lot of people like George Bush. I mean, some of Roy Barrera and his son, they're attorneys there, prominent Republicans. And there are a lot of middle-class Mexican-American people there who are afraid that maybe Clinton will raise taxes on them, even though he says, I'm going to tax the rich and everything. But we know that the biggest block of voters is middle-class people, So they're a little bit afraid of that. They just rather go with the status quo, even though they're not nuts about the way George Bush has handled everything in the economy. Because we're doing better than you because we have tourism, but we still have it's flat. It's not like it's growing,
Right. Now, what about the Latin American vote? Here, they don't turn out. Of course, nobody turns out. Let's face it.
No.
But percentage-wise,
I understand what you're saying.
How is the vote in San Antonio?
In San Antonio, the turnout by Latin American people has not been as great as might be anticipated. That is why, however, Clinton will be back in the Valley very shortly to campaign there to get people to register. And he is working through the office holders in that area, many of whom are Hispanic Americans, to come out and vote. And they're working not only on the economy, but healthcare is a big issue.
Yes, it is.
We have now just as you, like I mentioned, the place in El Paso, in parts of the Valley, especially with the development of industry in the Valley there, with the maquiladores and everything. We have a number of people that are very poor and that are in need, and we have kids who are being born without brains, anencephalitic.
Yes.
So the environmental and the health issues are a big deal to people that are dirt poor. There is something historically here that a lot of people don't realize, and I can see why he's working South Texas so hard. When both Lyndon Johnson and John Connally won in this state, now this is when Connally was running as a Democrat.
Yes.
They won on the strength of the Latin American vote here. They did not win the Anglo vote. I'm not saying they got no Anglo votes.
I thought Johnson won on the strength of ballot box 13.
Well, coincidences do happen. People voted in alphabetical order that day. So
that's right. I thought some of them came in from the cemetery.
Yeah, well, in Chicago, we believe that the dead have the right to vote too.
You know about
we don't. I don't think that just because you die, you should lose your right to vote.
That's the truth.
But no. Historically speaking,
I understand.
A lot of people don't realize that the Latin American vote carried these two men, into their respective offices, and I think that's where Clinton sees his opening here. He's not looking to say Dallas to carry him or whatever. I mean, it could happen. I mean, Ann Richards did well in all the big cities when she got elected here, but I think he realizes that there's Republican strength in a lot of the bigger cities that he can't contend with, so he's looking to these other areas. I think San Antonio will carry him, although not by much. Because once again we have a number of conservative people there.
What about Bush? How much has he been to San Antonio and then to the Valley?
Just for the summit.
That was it.
Yeah, and then he was up north in Dallas, which is his
he
stronghold
was here last week.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was here on Wednesday afternoon, and we could go on forever. You know it.
Did he appear on the Muletrain News?
He certainly did.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. No, he was in Shallowater at the Shallowater Co-op Gin, and it was billed as an official visit to announce. But the Bush campaign, I appreciated that they paid for it. And it certainly was a political speech, but we certainly did run it, and it was good to have the president. I don't care who he is in West Texas in Shallowater. It's a lot smaller than Muleshoe.
Well, a lot of times the candidates, and I know this having lived in sparsely populated states. Oh, they ignore the state. They never show up. You never see them. It's true. We don't have a lot of electoral votes in those
Miss
states.
Bush will be in Lubbock on Thursday.
Now, I've seen her 2 or 3 times. She's actually one of the better things George Bush has got going for her.
Everybody says
Yeah, she doesn't really have to talk about a hardcore political issue, but she's a very charming woman. It's hard for me to put my finger on it. You have to see it to know what I mean. You have to be next to her to know what I mean.
Well, she is like your mother or your grandmother, and she does have a charisma of a different type. It's not that hard sell. It's just, you just love her, you want to listen to her, you want to like her, and she likes you.
It's like, with George Bush, it's easy to say, well, that George Bush did this and this and this, and I don't like it. As you might say with Bill Clinton or Al Gore or whoever, but you don't have that with Mrs. Bush. Mrs. Bush is very, very down to earth.
She is not controversial.
No, she does occasionally touch on a few hardcore issues, but not to the point that it's gotten her in trouble. Quite frankly, my opinion is, having seen her and having heard a lot of her opinions and everything, I think if President Bush does lose, I don't think it's the end of the world for her. In fact, she might actually breathe a sigh of relief and say, now George and I can have life together again.
Right.
And I can be a grandmother again, and I can work on the reading program again, and I got plenty of things to do without being in the White House. Yes, she's backing George Bush, obviously, but it's not the be-all and the end-all as it would be for some people. Some people, they lose, and it's black. It's depression. It's depression.
Where do you think they'll go if he were to lose to really live?
Well, it won't be a Houston hotel.
That's a good answer.
Yeah, we better let it go there, because they're gonna run me out of this station.
No, you don't have to leave. Who told you that I'd want to talk about politics? Golly, we got on something. I tell you, I'd rather talk about politics than to almost eat. I'm talking about eating. Do you know how to make hot water cornbread?
No.
Okay, you take a cup of cornmeal and 3/4 cup of boiling hot water. Mix it together with, maybe a half a teaspoon of salt. Get your oil just as hot as you can, and you wet your hands and make it into a little patty, and you put it in that hot oil, and you fry it. And it's the best thing with black-eyed peas. And if anyone goes out and gets some of these black-eyed peas, please bring me some. You know I don't have time to go out there and pull them and shell them and eat them. Now, I can eat them. I can cook them. Don't worry about that. But it's black-eyed pea season finally in Muleshoe, and we've got to make some of that green. We'll be back in a moment, and we'll show you the 7th and 8th grade football players then. B&B Medical Supply at 516 South 1st Street, and Mark Benedict, the owner, is dedicated to enrich your life. And they have home care items that they sell and rent at B&B Medical Supply in Muleshoe. And at B&B Medical Supply, they're located convenient right down from the Muleshoe Area Medical Center on the Martin Highway across from the Assembly of God Church. They have the lift chair. It is electric. And they have medical equipment and respiratory equipment for the patient's comfort in your home. They service Amherst, Earth, Spring Lake, Sudan, Muleshoe, Lasbuddy, Bovina, Martin, Friona, Farwell, Texaco, and our entire area around Muleshoe. From B&B Medical Supply at 516 South 1st Street, call 272-3707, 24 hours a day for service from B&B Medical Supply. And they do take care of your insurance, whether it be Medicare, Medicaid, or private insurance. For service, sales, rental, and repair. B&B Medical Supply, where they give quality service.
State Farm is there. With the hospital surgical insurance, it could make all the difference. Whether you have group insurance or individual health insurance protection, find out how much State Farm's hospital surgical benefits can help you before you need help.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. And your State Farm agent in the entire Muleshoe area is Mark Martin. His offices are so convenient at the crossroads right here in Muleshoe at 109 South 1st Street. Or call Mark Martin, your State Farm Insurance agent, 272-7519. There you go. The Spring Lake Earth graduating class of 1957 Labor Day weekend got together to celebrate down at the Lubbock Plaza. Members of that graduating class of 1957 got their walkers, their wheelchairs, and put motors on them, and all came in force with their spouses. They were Bobby Angeli, Shirley Cheney, Clifford Cook, James Cooper, Sue Kurtzinger, Claude Davis, Max Goforth, Alvis Gray, Kay Haber. Wouldn't you know there'd have to be a Haber in there from Earth? Viola Hall, Jimmy Herring, LaVane Hogan, Norma Jean Jones, Harvey Kendrick, Oddish Ray King, Rita Crawford, Kenneth Lowe, Louise Matlock, Melvin McClure, Marilyn McGeeth, Betty O'Hare, Carolyn Parrish, Joe Pearson, Mary Pacheco, James Powell, Carolyn Sanderson, Sherry Stein, Jerry Tunnell, Eldon Upchurch, Joe Ed Wheat, and Janelle Dent. Their sponsors were Billy Hahn and Gladys McCaskill. And we saw them, and they looked in pretty good spirits. After 35 years, the class of 1957 of Spring Lake Earth High School, they really had a great reunion. Yesterday afternoon, we talked with Juanita Berman, and you know what she told us? She has several hundred quart-sized canning jars, and they are perfect for you to go to her house. She'll give them all to you, or she'll give you 10 or 12 or a couple of dozen, but you're going to have to empty them out to use them because they have things already canned in them that aren't good anymore. And you can can your black-eyed peas and then bring them to me, because I told you where to get the black-eyed peas and how to make your hot water cornbread and where to get free canning jars. Now that's a deal, isn't it? Call Juanita at 272-3900 if you want them. And she wants to give them to you. Jack, did Juanita Berman work at the co-op for years? That's right. She sure did. She tells us that a nice family is going to have a 50th wedding anniversary in the Berman family later this week, and we'll be telling you about that tomorrow on the Muletrain, so you want to be listening then to find out about, out of 8 Berman children, I know that's not 8, but 8 Berman children, which one of them finally made 50 years of married life. Isn't that something? We'll tell you all about it tomorrow. Be sure and attend the harp concert tonight of Greg Buchanan. It's 7 in the First Baptist Church here. It's free, and he's going to feature jazz, pop, classical, and gospel music, and I know that you will enjoy hearing Greg Buchanan. Well, it's just about time for us to go now on the morning run of the local and area Muletrain News was brought to you this morning through the courtesy of the First Bank, of course, on 1st Street in Muleshoe, where they can make you first. And today, Hugh Vinson is our sweetheart. And stay tuned now for the birthdays, anniversaries, and the hospital report all coming up next. The birthdays that we know of for today are Horace Hutton, Tony Eagle, Geneva Finch, Aubrey Ruthhart, Aaron Kelly, Kevin Merritt, Lisa Johnson, Sandy Chipwood. Is it Sandy's birthday today? It was Kristen's yesterday. Okay. And James Barrett is 11 today. Also, Mr. and Mrs. Johnny Ferguson have a wedding anniversary, along with Mr. and Mrs. Blondie Ray, who are celebrating 62 years of married life. And now here's one of my 3 sons to sing for you if you celebrate today.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday and God bless you. Happy birthday to you.
And if you do have a birthday or wedding anniversary to add to our list, we really would like to have it. So please don't hesitate to call us at 272-3990 or 272-4989, and we'd be more than happy to add your birthday or anniversary to our list. At the Muleshoe Area Medical Center, many young parents are finding out about the precious beginnings birthing suites at our local hospital, and find those loving touches at the Muleshoe Area Medical Center. Eileen Martin is the registered nurse in charge, and she welcomes you to come by and look at the birthing suites and find out about all the extras that they provide in our local hospital in Muleshoe for the new baby's safe arrival. Also, Eileen says that if you happen to have used car seats for infant safety, then would you donate them to the OB department at our hospital? And thank you so much for caring, because they have so many new babies who go home without an infant car seat. And if you have one maybe in your garage or storage room and you are not using it and do not plan to, it could be put to good use. Precious beginnings start in the Muleshoe Area Medical Center. Patients in the local Muleshoe Area Medical Center today are Sylvia Marino and her new baby daughter. Congratulations to you, Sylvia, Susanna Edwards, Trinidad Ramirez, Marie Gutierrez, Antonio Monreal, and Luva Kersey. Dismissed, Jose Manuel, Jewel Perry, Tripp Townsend, and Eileen Weiss. And that's a report from the Muleshoe Area Medical Center today.